I'm now joined by Mr. Nadir Godrej, Chairman of Goodridges Agrovet. Mr. Godrej, good morning. Thank you for joining with us. I'm interacting with you for the first time, at least on this forum. So a very warm welcome and thank you for joining us. Before I get into specifics, Mr. Godrej, let's understand your understanding of what is happening.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. What is your big picture understanding on what is happening to the to the crop and to the rural demand? Because monsoons earlier, monsoons in 2019 had pushed the agrarian demand on a back foot. But have things normalized now? Are things looking up now? Are things looking upbeat now?
The Rabi crops were quite good, so the agricultural situation is good.
Define good, sir, for us.
But there is a crisis in the animal husbandry industry, because ever since the coronavirus, people have reduced their consumption of chicken and eggs. There is absolutely no connection between the coronavirus and the consumption of chicken and egg, but based on rumors or people are not consuming these products, and consumption has fallen by 50%. Prices of poultry have fallen from over 100 rupees a kilo to 35 rupees a kilo, while the cost of production of poultry meat is 75 rupees a kilo, and egg prices have fallen from 5 rupees per egg to 3.5 rupees per egg. This means that the poultry meat industry and the egg industry are making great losses, and there could be a big shakeout in the industry. This is entirely based on rumors with no factual basis, and these low prices, I hope, will encourage people to once again consume eggs and chicken.
The outlook, Mr. Godrej, on the animal feed business, given what you've just described, we've also seen production cuts across players. What's the outlook then going forward? It sounds like an incredibly grim situation from what you're saying.
It's a grim situation until the consumption of poultry and eggs rises again. And if the prices don't rise, people won't get new birds into the farms, either new layers or new broilers. So it is a grim situation. Of course, the situation on dairy feed is better. There the challenge is different, that milk prices are quite high, and so dairy processors have to pay a high price for milk currently. We hope that milk prices will moderate over time, and that would improve the situation for dairy processors.
Hi there, good morning. And now you've spelt out the outlook for some of those key sectors of yours, but let's talk about your raw material prices as well. The likes of corn, soya, the rice bran prices, all of which have been falling off late. So in light of this, can we assume that your margins are likely to improve? Can you paint a clearer picture?
It's going to be difficult. Yes, those prices have fallen, but in poultry, it's going to be a problem. Whereas in dairy feed, the margins should be maintained quite well. And I would like to state that in both the industries, we have done a lot of innovation. We are processing raw materials that are generally not used, improving their quality. For instance, we are improving the quality of rapeseed meal and povad seed powder so that we can use them in poultry feed. And we've got new technology in dairy feed, which can reduce the amount of feed necessary to produce the same amount of milk. Both these breakthroughs will help us over time.
Given that there is also a downtick which is there in commodity prices, and since raw material as percentage of your total sales, it's a big number, what happens on the margin end? Would you be able to make up the drop in demand by a uptick in margins?
No, the prices of commodities have fallen by a small percentage, whereas the prices of poultry and eggs have fallen by a very big percentage.
So as you look into the future, what would you say is the positioning of Godrej Agrovet for minority shareholders? Are you a proxy to rural growth? Are you a IP protected company which will continue to grow irrespective of what is happening in the world, barring one or two lean patches? So if somebody is looking to invest in your company, it's got a great brand, which is a Godrej brand. But what about the business uniqueness? How would you classify that?
Right. We don't think our growth is entirely just dependent on Indian rural growth. Our market shares are small, so there is a huge potential to grow even if agricultural growth is not high in India. Also, we view ourselves as a technology company, and we will keep improving technology, which will improve our market share. So we are not that dependent on the Indian situation. Whereas if the entire global economy goes for a toss because of coronavirus, we might also be affected. But right now we are being affected merely about rumors of the coronavirus than any effect of the coronavirus itself, which is a very sad story.
I want to ask you a big picture question, Mr. Godrej, and purely based on my experience of travel. When I go to Kerala, I can see the cattle in Kerala, they are fed on coconut leaves. When I go to Punjab, I can see the cattle in Punjab, they are fed on local leaves like mustard leaves. The bottom line here is that the cattle feed market in India is highly unorganized. In India, a lot of changes are happening to the organized economy. How would you characterize the organized versus unorganized market in the animal feed segment, and where do you stand?
Right. Now, you should be clear that cattle have to be fed both fodder and concentrate. We are not in the business of producing fodder, though we are studying that area carefully because fodder prices are currently extremely high in India, and it makes no sense that fodder prices should be so high because fodder is easier to grow than other crops. So fodder should be cheaper than other crops. What we are in the business is of producing concentrate, and the higher the yielding cow, more percentage of concentrate has to be fed to the cow. And we are making great improvements in concentrate that we can get the same results with lower quantities of concentrate. That will hold us in very good stead in future years.
How large is the animal feed market in India, both organized and unorganized? And do you see an incremental market share in the non-fodder business, the stroke concentrate business? Because ultimately, Mr. Godrej, my understanding is that the farmer or the owner of the cattle, they want greater output of milk, and fodder is not the only solution.
Don't underestimate more organized farms coming into the picture. And we are also doing breeding of cows, and we have successfully bred very high yielding cows with the help of Israeli technology, and we gradually see more and more farmers using these high yielding cows, which would require more concentrate, and therefore over time definitely concentrate will grow rapidly.
Okay, I just want to talk about, the primary reasons for the standalone business not quite performing very well in the third quarter. Some of the other direct-to-farmer agri companies, they have managed to do very well. So what's the reason vis-a-vis your peer comparison?
In the oil palm business, which is a major business for us, palm oil prices were much lower. Currently, they are considerably higher, although they are falling, and we do hope that the average price for the next year will be significantly higher than it was for the last year. In our other businesses, we have been doing quite well. Also, we now have a lower tax rate, so going forward, that will help our business. And in animal feed, our innovations have just come to the market recently, so in future years we will see good benefits from them.
Change to the dividend policy, Mr. Godrej, after the recent policy changes?
We might consider some changes in our dividend policy, but we have not decided that yet.
As a promoter, are you happy, unhappy, or these things don't matter to you?
About what?
About the change in dividend policy, sir, the obvious question.
It affects everyone and every company differently. Since there is now no dividend tax at the corporate level, and individuals who receive the dividend have to pay the tax, obviously high net worth individuals will be unhappy, non-tax paying individuals will be very happy, and companies are completely free to change their dividend policy. Some companies may decide to give no dividends in this situation. Companies will decide on this based on who their shareholders are. It's not going to be easy to please every shareholder. So companies will have to decide which kind of shareholder they want to please. This policy makes the situation very complicated.
Right, Mr. Godrej, appreciate you.
But we can always work ourselves around any situation.
I'm very sure you will. Thank you so much, though, for explaining each of your businesses and giving us a better understanding as to how each of them is performing. Good to have you on board.